The Super Eagles of Nigeria failed to soar in Kigali, Rwanda as the three-time African champions were held to a barren draw in match day 2 of the AFCON 2025 qualifiers. We are live and ready to take a tour of all the happenings in sports today. Welcome to Sports Tour on Enterprise TV. I am Josh Ikeokoli and here is our menu for today. Nigeria Super Eagles were held to a barren draw by the Amavubi of Rwanda as Augustine Eguavoen's tactics failed to secure the 3 points. Augustine Eguavoen named an unchanged starting 11 except for Dele Bashiru, who came in for Alex Iwobi. In the MPFL, Lobby Stars and Akwa United played a barren draw at the Aparaco Stadium in Makurdi to wrap up proceedings in match day 1. Super Falcons and Racing Louisville striker Uche Nakano has undergone a successful surgery to correct an undisclosed medical issue. Honey Badgers FC have joined Ibom Angels as they secured promotion to the Nigerian Women Football League Premiership after a 1-0 win over Pelican Stars at the UJSONS Stadium, Calabar, Cross River State. In tennis, Yannick Sinner and Aryna Sabalenka became the first players to win the men's and women's singles titles at the Australian Open and the US Open. Hardcore dominance in the same season since 1988 when it was achieved by Mats Wilander and Steffi Graf. In Formula 1, Oliver Behrmann expresses his excitement for his second Formula 1 Grand Prix as he replaces the suspended Kevin Magnussen at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku this weekend. In football, France Les Bleus, the Azzurri of Italy, the Atlas Lions of Morocco and the Teranga Lions of Senegal secured huge wins to end their September FIFA international window on a high. We will also give you the results and updates of the AFCON 2025 qualifiers, all the high points of the UEFA Nations League, and the World Cup qualifiers in South America and Asia. Let's take a short break on the program. When we return, we'll be going into detail on all the items on our agenda today on Sports Store. I'm being joined by none other than a dynamic sports analyst and producer, none other than Ejiro Emeni. Ejiro, welcome to the show.
Yeah,
how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria went to Rwanda, went to Kigali. We came, we saw, but we did not conquer. Spoils were shared. What went wrong in that game for Super Eagles?
What went wrong is in the first half we were a little bit sloppy. We had a frontman who was Victor Boniface, yeah. And we didn't really create much chance. We only had 3 shots on target against the keeper, 9 shots in total in the first half, meanwhile Rwanda had 11. So it showed that in the first half we were in it at all. And the game first started off with yellow cards from Chukwueze and Cloud from Rwanda, and the game was a little bit spicy. Boniface, at least he filled up his pace, not as much as Osimhen would have to, but he hit the bar, he crossed by in the 6 minutes and kept on pressing them and pressing, but he couldn't get anything in the first half.
Okay, so what do you think that Coach Augustine Eguavoen, or if perhaps the Super Eagles of Nigeria decides to appoint a new coach, the Football Federation, the NFF decides to appoint a new coach for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, what do you think that person needs to do in the next set of qualifiers? Because yes, we have 4 points out of 2 games, and yes, the AFCON qualifiers requires the first 2 teams, first and second in the group, to qualify. In our group, we are being paired with Rwanda, Benin Republic, and Libya. Yeah. And the next time that the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be playing, it's in October when we have a double header, home and away against Libya. Then in November, we wrap up the qualifiers with the return legs, Rwanda at home, Benin away from home. So what do you think that the next coach of Super Eagles, or perhaps maybe still the technical director, the technical advisor of Super Eagles and the interim coach, Augustine Eguavoen, what do you think should be done moving forward to help the Super Eagles maintain momentum and consistency?
I feel for us to maintain momentum is we're already good at the back. We hardly concede goals. We just need to we just need our end product. That's just it. We need to learn how to finish more. And if we know we need to finish more, we need to put our star man in front, which is Victor Osimhen. We need to put him and support him very well, because in this match, Lookman and Chukwueze were off, especially Lookman. Lookman wasn't. I don't know if he actually likes it.
I believe Lookman was more into the game than Chukwueze. He had some gilded chances that were saved by the goalie. Chukwueze was even taken off in the first. As soon as the second half started, Moses Simon was on for him. Even Boniface, who didn't impress in the first game, stepped up to the plate, did way better in the first half of this game compared to the amount of time he stayed on the pitch in Uyo against Benin.
Yeah. So they did their own jobs. They did their jobs well and everything. But
okay.
I just felt they were off today. Both wingmen, they were off today. I feel Osimhen just brings in that capacity and that space and that freedom for them to do what they want to do without worrying about how they will feed the middleman in front. Okay,
so Nigeria off to a pretty decent start in the AFCON qualifiers compared to the bad starts that we had in World Cup qualifiers. And we are not going to play any World Cup qualifying games until after the AFCON next year takes place. So do you think that with the way we have started, do you think that Nigeria can qualify not only for the AFCON, which it seems more or less likely that we would qualify for, but can we also take our good performance in these qualifiers and perhaps replicate it in the World Cup qualifiers and even at AFCON 2025?
Yes, I think we can actually replicate it, because right now we're on 4 points, right?
Yeah.
We're on 4 points, and everybody is disbanding right now. We should go up, focus. Everyone should focus on his tactics and everything, and work on our finishing. If we can actually work on our finishing, trust me, we're going far.
Okay, so for you in the starting 11, Osimhen should always start. Yes, Osimhen is our natural starter, but he came late to camp, so it's understandable why this international window Boniface was used, and he hasn't really played for a long time. He's a bit much rusty. This is his first game.
You notice when he came in the second half, we increased.
The tempo increased. Yes, the tempo increased.
11 shots, 6 on target in the second half. It showed that yes, and we put more pressure on the Rwanda defense.
If not for their goalkeeper,
Ntawari. Their goalkeeper was 9 saves in the match. That was actually beautiful. But it showed that Osimhen is the killer man. That's what we do. We just need to support him at the wings, and Lookman and Chukwueze have to live up to the expectations as well.
So what about Dele Bashiru coming into the game? Dele Bashiru coming into the game for Alex Iwobi. Should that be a permanent thing moving forward?
No, I don't think it should be. But today it showed that he held his spot. He actually did. He is more of, I feel, more defensive than how
Iwobi is.
But he actually held his spot today and he did very well.
So moving forward, Iwobi should be benched for Fisaya Dele Bashiru.
They can be changing, they can be swapping.
They can be interchanging it. Or maybe we should even probably use Onyeka or even Al Hassan Yusuf.
No. I feel Iwobi should still keep his spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, should finally, before we wrap up proceedings on this particular issue, should the Super Eagles appoint Augustine Eguavoen to another full-term contract, or perhaps just keep him as an interim manager?
Well, we should keep him as an interim manager for now, till after the AFCON qualifiers, to see how well he does.
So 4 more matches for Augustine Eguavoen.
4 more matches. If he can save himself, I feel he deserves a second chance.
Okay. Ejiro feels Augustine Eguavoen deserves a 100th chance because he's taken over. He's managed the Super Eagles for 3 times and lots of interim stints as the manager of the Super Eagles. Moving over to the MPFL, Lobby Stars, like I said earlier on, played a goalless draw against Akwa United. This was the 5th draw out of 10 games played in match day 1 of the Nigerian Professional Football League this season. Started with Enugu Rangers playing a goalless draw against El Kaneme Warriors, the league champions, taking on the Federation Cup champions. That was how the curtain was raised. We also saw Enyimba International of Aba defeating Heartland 3-1 in an Oriental Derby. And of course, Lobby Stars and Akwa United played a goalless draw at the Aparako Stadium in Makurdi. So 18 goals scored in 10 MPFL games in match day 1. Akwa United and Lobby Stars wrapped up proceedings with a goalless draw. Elsewhere in the local issues, local stories, Nigerian sports stories, Super Falcons and Racing Louisville striker Uchenna Kanu has undergone a successful surgery to correct an undisclosed medical issue. A day before the surgery, the Racing Louisville player had shared a video on her social media platforms where she gave reasons behind the intention to get under the surgeon's knife. In the video, Kanu stated how she had been playing with pain for club and country until doctors in her American club Racing Louisville advised her to go for that medical procedure. Kanu made 3 substitute appearances for the Nigerian Super Falcons at the Paris Olympic Games, where Nigeria unfortunately finished at the bottom of the log, having registered no points. We lost all games, losing to world champion Spain, losing to Japan, and losing to Brazil, who later on finished with the silver medal at Paris 2024. Still on women's football, Nigerian women's football. Just like how we saw on the men's side of the divide, Lobby Stars and Akwa United playing a 0-0 draw. This time around, it was still another Benue State team, Honey Badgers FC, joining another Akwa Ibom-based team, the Ibom Angels. So Honey Badgers have joined Ibom Angels, who qualified for the NWFL. They gained promotion for the NWFL when they won their championship, the NWFL championship playoff game. They won it, while Honey Badgers FC joined them by also beating Pelican Stars at the NWFL playoffs happening currently at the UG, or rather was concluded yesterday at the UG Eswene Stadium in Calabar, Cross River State. The Benue State side defeated Pelican Stars, 3-time NWFL Premiership champions Pelican Stars, to make history and qualify and secure promotion to the country's top flight for the first time ever in their history as a football club. Great one for Honey Badgers FC, great one for Ibom Angels. The NWFL Premiership, the new season of the NWFL Premiership is going to be explosive. Edo Queens want to defend their title. Rivers Angels want to take over once again. Nasarawa Amazons have a point to prove. So it's all up for the taking. Ibom Angels, who were once in the NWFL 2 seasons ago, they got relegated to the championship. They are now back in the Premiership and they want to stay. They just do not want to come and go like we've seen in previous years. This is the first time around for Honey Badgers FC of Benue, and they want to prove their mettle that this time around they are going to be serious in the NWFL Premiership and they are going to take things by storm and perhaps maybe win the league and represent Nigeria in the CAF Women's Champions League. Let's head over to the foreign side of things. Let's leave the shores of Nigeria. Let's go over to Europe because, the US Open has concluded. It happened in New York City, in Flushing Meadows at the Otto Ashe Stadium, the Otto Ashe Arena. The final Grand Slam of the year saw Yannick Sinner, world number 1 on the ATP Tour, win his second Grand Slam title in his career and also his second Grand Slam title of the year, while Aryna Sabalenka also won her second Grand Slam of the year. And Yannick Sinner, world number 1 on the men's side of the division, while Aryna Sabalenka, world number 2 in the WTA Tour. They both became the first players since 1988 to win the men's and women's singles title at the Australian Open and the US Open in the same season. They are also the first duo, the first man and the first woman to win the Australian Open title, the Cincinnati Masters, the Miami Open, and of course the US Open. So the 4 major hard-court trophies were won by both Yannick Sinner and Aryna Sabalenka. And the way things are looking, it looks more or less likely like the Italian Yannick Sinner would maintain his hold of the world number 1 ranking on the ATP Tour, while it also looks more or less likely that Aryna Sabalenka would maintain her world number 2 rankings and perhaps even surpass Iga Swiatek, the Polish star who is the world number 1 for the women. Unluckily for the likes of Jessica Pegula, Taylor Fritz, and the whole United States tennis fraternity, They got 2 of their players in the finals for the men's and the women's competitions, and none of them won a singles title. So the Americans will still be kicking their heels and ruining their luck, as none of their American athletes, their American tennis players, were able to emerge victorious at the final Grand Prix of the year. The Davis Cup is definitely up for grabs as well, so we're definitely giving you more updates on what's happening in tennis right here on Sports Store on Enterprise TV. In Formula 1, Oliver Biermann has expressed his excitement for his second F1 Grand Prix as he replaces the suspended Kevin Magnussen in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix this weekend. Oliver Biermann, who raced for Ferrari earlier on this season when Carlos Sainz, the Spaniard, was diagnosed with appendicitis. He went under the knife to fix the issue. Oliver Biermann debuted for Ferrari and finished 7th, garnering 3 points in his debut race for Ferrari. But this time around, he is going to be racing with Haas, the American constructor, which is owned by Gene Haas. Oliver Biermann is going to be participating in his second Formula 1 race, which will serve as a precursor to him actually replacing Kevin Magnussen in the full-time next season in Formula 1. Oliver Biermann has really impressed the world of Formula 1, from all the engineers to the race designers to even his fellow drivers on the grid, and even former legends, former race car drivers, former winners of Formula 1, who have really said that Oli Biermann is a kid for the future, and perhaps after his stint in Haas, he could move over to a bigger team to join maybe Red Bull, maybe Ferrari, and, expand his horizons and perhaps contest for the World Drivers' Championships. Let's move over to football. The UEFA Nations League, the African Cup of Nations qualifiers, the World Cup qualifiers in South America, Asia, and even the CONCACAF Nations League is the talk of the town. Of course, the FIFA International Window brings to you international football games where we see all the big players leave the big clubs, leave all the stars, all the glitz, all the glamour of playing for all the big clubs in the world, and they come together to meet even with their teammates, their compatriots that play in the smaller clubs, to play for passion, to play for their country, to represent their flag. France, first of all, this international window, they lost to Italy 3-1, and then they enacted sweet revenge when they faced Belgium, defeating them 2-0. Belgium, who won Israel, lost to France, so they are third in their group. Italy defeated Israel 2-1 to maintain the top position in their group, while Israel are bottom of their group in the UEFA Nations League. Morocco and Senegal continued their impressive run of form. This is Morocco's second win in 2 games in the African Cup of Nations qualifiers, while Senegal, who drew their first game, finally got to their first 3 points of the campaign. I'm coming back to you, Ejiro. Lots of games that we've been seeing so far this international break. Yeah. Portugal also maintained a 100% record. Ronaldo scoring his 900th and 901st goal in his career. Continues breaking the records at 39. Luka Modric also scored the winner for Croatia. The international break, how has it been so far for you? Were you surprised with the results? Do you think that this French team, with the likes of Mbappe as the captain, can keep up with the momentum that we've seen since Didier Deschamps became the coach in 2014 and even winning the World Cup in 2018? Do you see this French team? They lost to Italy, this Italian team that everyone wrote off because of how they performed at the Euros, beaten by Switzerland. Right now, Spain beat Switzerland. So, are this French team losing their mojo? Are they losing their momentum? Or losing to Italy was big team against big team? These things happen.
It's not big team against big team. Yes, Italy is a very big country, I have to say. But losing 3-1
to Italy at home.
When I watched the match, I was actually shocked because they didn't play the way they normally play.
Okay.
And it was not something, Mbappe, I don't know what's wrong with him. Ever since he came to Madrid, his mojo and his vibe he has not been himself. They were just scattered all over, and it didn't seem like the normal France team that competed in that
At the Euros, at the previous
even
World
at the
Cup.
Euros, they were actually lucky because having only one.
It seemed like it was own goals.
Own
goal was their 12th player.
That's how it was. So I don't. After the 2022 World Cup that happened like 2 years ago, I feel since then they've not been themselves. So I don't see them actually doing anything in the World Cup 2028 to come.
Well, let's give you all the results that has been happening in the UEFA Nations League. In match day 2 of the Nations League, Luxembourg lost at home to Belarus. Bulgaria defeated Northern Ireland by a goal to nil. Denmark beat Serbia 2-0. Slovakia defeated Azerbaijan 2-0. Gibraltar played a 2-0 draw against Liechtenstein. Portugal defeated Scotland 2-1. Spain, even though they got a red card, defeated Switzerland in Basel by 4-1. Sweden 3, Estonia 0. Croatia 1. Poland 0. A clash of Luka Modric versus Robert Lewandowski ended with Luka Modric scoring the winning goal. Cyprus lost at home 4-0 to Kosovo. Turkey defeated Iceland 3-1. France 2, Belgium 0. Slovenia 3, Kazakhstan 0. Romania 3, Lithuania 1. Israel 1, Italy 2, Norway 2, Austria 1. For the Arsenal fans, I apologize to you guys because your captain, Norway's captain, picked up an injury in that game against Austria. He's going to be out for a number of months. So good luck in the Premier League. Erling Haaland, the Norwegian Terminator, the Viking goal father, scored the winning goal for Norway as they defeated Austria 2-1 to move into second place in their group in the Nations League. Montenegro lost at home to Wales 2-1 to wrap up proceedings in the UEFA Nations League. Today, there will be games still in the UEFA Nations League. Latvia will be hosting Faroe Islands. Ireland will square off against Greece. Albania will take on Georgia. England will host Finland. Czechia, formerly known as Czech Republic, will be hosting Ukraine. Andorra against Malta. The Netherlands against Germany. The pick of the bunch in match day 2. Hungary against Bosnia and Herzegovina, and North Macedonia, Fyrom against Armenia. 2, Slavic nations slugging it out. Eastern Slavs, Southern Slavs, North Macedonia, was part of the former Yugoslavia. Armenia was part of the former Soviet Union. So a little bit of, ethnic history happening there, but because it's a bit safe, unlike what we've seen with the likes of, let's say, Kosovo, Serbia, these two teams can play, because there are some games that UEFA does not put together because of ethnic hostilities and diplomatic tensions between the countries involved. So unless if they get to the later stages in the competitions, then they'll not play together. Yeah. So that's how we wrap up with what's happening in the UEFA Nations League. Let's move over from UEFA to AFC, the Asian Football Federation. The AFC played their Nations Cup the same time we were playing ours, and Qatar defended their title, won it back to back. So anything Asia is going to be playing moving forward is just going to be World Cup qualifiers. So in the World Cup qualifiers for the AFC, couple of games have been happening. We saw Japan start their World Cup qualifiers with a 7-0 victory over China. It was a phenomenal result for the Samurai Blue. Phenomenal victory for them, phenomenal way for them to kickstart their World Cup qualifying campaign. Yeah, so Japan defeated China 7-0. Turkmenistan played a goalless draw with Hong Kong. Qatar lost their first World Cup qualifying game. It was a shocker to everyone who saw it, because Qatar, like I said, they are the current Asian champions. They losing their first game in the World Cup qualifiers is going to serve as a huge blow to their hopes of making a second consecutive World Cup. This time it will be their first as them not the host, because the last time they were at the World Cup, they were the host. Phenomenal World Cup, 2020 World Cup, one of the best ever held in history. In other games, Australia lost at home to Bahrain. Former Asian champions lost 1-0 to Bahrain. Japan, like I said, defeated China. Phenomenal performance, 7-0. South Korea played a goalless draw with Palestine. Uzbekistan won, North Korea 0. Iran won, Kyrgyzstan 0. Iraq won, Oman 0. So still for both Iran and Iraq, it was a 1-0 victory for both teams. Qatar won, United Arab Emirates 3 sweet revenge for the UAE, who Qatar beat in the semi-finals of the AFC Nations Cup earlier this year, en route to winning the title for a second consecutive time. Jordan won, Kuwait won, Saudi Arabia were also held at home to Indonesia by 1-0. That's the beauty of the international football, because you see teams, unheralded teams, holding the so-called big nations by the scruff of the neck, taking the bulls to the horn, giving them a solid fight. We saw how Nigeria could not beat Lesotho. We saw even Morocco. We will still talk about what happened yesterday in AFCON 2025. It was a scrappy 1-0 victory for Morocco. So, so does this mean, or rather, should I say, does this show that there are no minnows anymore in international football?
Well, they are. They surely are. Because international football is we're supposed to know countries who are supposed to be able to face each and every other person. So, but there's always one problem: too much games for the footballers. Footballers complain a lot about.
But why should they complain? They have 3 months break.
3 months.
3 months break in a year.
During those 3 months,
do we have 3 months in a year in our lives?
See, look, those 3 months break.
Okay.
There's still an international competition that still comes up. After the international competition, they go 2 weeks break. Then after that, they go back to pre-season to play football again. They continue training constantly and everything.
It's their life.
Footballers it's their life. Yeah,
it's their money.
They are getting paid lots of amounts. I'm not going to lie. So
Ronaldo, I think, is the highest paid player in the world. He's earning more than 3 million.
Those ones
at Al Nassr.
They are already high, so I can't even call them. But the rest also complain.
Let's even look at Nigerian player Victor Osimhen was earning 246,000 euros at Napoli.
At Napoli, yes, he was. Yeah. But recently, De Bruyne came out, Belgium's star man, their captain. He came out recently last week, complaining about the fixtures, the amount of fixtures they have to face each and every time international break comes up.
Okay.
And people don't really like international break.
I do. Personally, I do.
I don't.
I prefer international break to club football because I feel it's the best way to really determine a player's true quality and true worth. Because in club football, you could be ghosting, you could be surrounded by stars from different nationalities. Kivicha Kvaratskhelia of Georgia, who plays for Napoli. Apart from these Euros, and for people like us who really follow these guys behind just the glamour of club football, Mamashidavili, who has joined Liverpool but still on loan to Valencia, the goalkeeper from Georgia. We're seeing lots of players from smaller countries rise up to play, rise up to the limelight. If not for international football, I don't think lots of players would have gotten to where they have gotten to. And that's why no matter the side of the debate you're on, the GOAT debate in football in the past couple of years, Ronaldo versus Messi, there was like sort of a balance and a definite answer in that debate to most people when Messi lifted that World Cup in Doha. So regardless of what we want to say, I think international football brings the best of football. It's no longer about the amount of money that a club can pay to buy players. It's now about who can play regardless of the situation, regardless of money, regardless of if your federation is not doing well, like we saw with Super Falcons last year at the World Cup when the federation had issues with paying, and then we still almost defeated the team that later finished as second position. We probably could have gotten to the final if not for the unfortunate situation, which is penalty shootout. So, international football for me over club football, that is true football.
Look, true football is playing with different country or different men from different countries. Okay. Look, international football brings hope back.
Yeah.
Everybody loves to see their country face another country and win. Everybody loves it. But if you look at it, the games are actually too much. After this international football, players also get injured and they can't play for their clubs. Look,
but they'll still be collecting money.
They're still collecting the money, but it's their body. Look, playing just ordinary this August. September isn't even done yet. They've played up to 8 games already. three
in the league. Then for those
two domestically,
yes,
2 already. That is actually 7 already.
Some 8 for the ones who played like Carabao Cup, other domestic cup competitions as well.
So I feel the federation, the football federation, FIFA and
UEFA,
CAF, each and every one of them, they should at least reduce the international break matches, because the players too is their body. They are getting tired. They are complaining. People are demanding more matches, but we should also consider that players.
There are even going to be more matches in the Champions League group stages.
In the Champions League group stage. So they should at least divide it, or have a certain period for international qualifiers alone, then take a break, then come back. I'm not saying international football is bad or anything, but it's wearing the players out.
Okay, international football wears the player out, according to Ejiro, my dynamic analyst here. I mean, I love international football and I feel this player should play. So let me throw this one out to you guys watching us right about now. Drop in the comment section. Tell us, what do you think? Should international football be scrapped? Should the number of games that footballers play every year be reduced? Tell us your opinions. Leave your 2 cents on at Enterprise TV 7 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok as well. Tell us your opinions. Tell us what you think, your 2 cents on this particular issue. Should football players play less games? Should international breaks be scrapped or reduced from its current format? Moving on, we're still talking about the World Cup qualifiers. Let me give our viewers the fixtures of the games that will be taking place pretty much very soon in the Asian Football Confederation. North Korea will be hosting Qatar. Indonesia will be taking on Australia. China against Saudi Arabia. Palestine against Jordan. Kyrgyzstan against Uzbekistan. Oman against South Korea. Bahrain against Japan. United Arab Emirates will host Iran. Kuwait will host Iraq. Kuwait will host Iraq, and that's how this FIFA international window for the Asian Football Confederation will be coming to an end. Let's cross the Atlantic. Okay, you can use the Pacific, but I think most times if they're going from Asia to the Americas, they use through Africa, the Atlantic, because that's like the best route. So let's cross over to the Atlantic and tell you that the 5 games of match day 8 of the CONMEBOL, that's the Confederation of Football in South America, of the CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers, will be taking place later on today and in the early hours of tomorrow. Colombia will be hosting Argentina. It's going to be a rematch of the Copa America final. Ecuador will be hosting Peru. Chile will be hosting Bolivia. Venezuela will take on Uruguay, and Paraguay will host Brazil in the peak of the bunch. On the standings, on the table for the South American qualifiers, for those who do not know, all 10 South American teams that play under CONMEBOL play a round robin, which is everyone will face each other in a series of games. There are 10 teams, so that's 9 games home, 9 games away. 18 games will be played amongst all 10 teams. Argentina, Uruguay, Colombia, Brazil, Venezuela, Ecuador are the top 6 teams. The first 6 teams in CONMEBOL will qualify for the World Cup, while the 7th place team will participate in an inter-confederation playoff where they'll meet other teams from other confederations that did not qualify automatically to the World Cup in 2026. So Argentina tops the table, Uruguay 2nd, Colombia 3rd, Brazil 4th, Venezuela 5th, Ecuador 6th. These are the 6 teams who occupy the automatic positions out there in CONMEBOL. Paraguay 7th, Bolivia 8th, Chile 2-time South American champions in 2015 and 2016 are 9th, while Peru are 10th on the CONMEBOL law. Quickly before we leave, let's give you the results of the games that happened at the African Cup of Nations qualifiers last night. We saw Senegal beat Burundi 1-0 away from home. Equatorial Guinea held Togo to a 2-2 draw. Madagascar held Comoros to a 1-1 draw. Niger and Ghana. It has been a bad one for Ghana this period. Our Jollof Derby neighbors lost to Angola, the team we beat at the AFCON. So sweet one for Nigerians, all happy that Ghana lost. Sorry to our Ghanaian friends and fans out there, but Niger held Ghana to a 1-1 draw. Uganda beat Congo 2-0. Angola are topping their group after they defeated Sudan 2-1. Ethiopia lost at home to DR Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, by 2-0, while, as I mentioned earlier, Lesotho, they really came, they really tried, they really struggled, but then they lost by 1-0 to Ibrahim Diaz's 90th minute goal also in Agadir, Morocco. That's how we wrap things up. That's how much we can take on Sports Store right here on Enterprise TV. And before we depart, let's leave you with this quote from the GOAT of baseball, George Herman, who's also known as Babe Ruth. He said, "Never let the fear of striking out get in your way." You can also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are Enterprise TV 7 on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, and on TikTok, where we give you all the updates, the exclusives, and the news you can use. Idris, thank you once again for being a part of the show. Definitely do this next time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Definitely, and hopefully Nigeria gets 3-0 victory like you predicted.
We better.
Definitely, we better. I'm Josh Ike-Okoli, and I've been joined by the dynamic sports producer and analyst Idris Emeni, and we want to thank you for the privilege of your time. Until next time on Sports Store, right here on Enterprise TV, hasta luego.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.